For many of you may not know who I am. You may not know who Jim is. So Jim, why don't you go first and share your story and how you got started working in nonprofits?
Well, I'm happy to do that. I mentioned earlier that I was married. I've been married for 40 years to Diane. I've got a 32-year-old son, Jimmy, and his wife, Sarah. I have a 30-year-old daughter who is in Chicago. How did I start? Well, actually, I am a product of our ministry. I'm a product of Cru. My wife and I are what we would call Cru babies. Okay. And we both came to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ while we were college students. But we didn't immediately join the staff of Campus Crusade. We worked for a few years, but we really felt a strong burden and a strong calling to get into God's work. And we thought, hey, if we can just get trained for a few years on how to share the gospel, we're going to bring that back to the marketplace. Well, I can tell you, after about 18 months, I was challenged to move to our headquarters in San Bernardino, California. And Cru's headquarters was in San Bernardino at the time. Wow. And I was a little intimidated because I really wanted to work on the college campus, but I was also a little miffed because the last thing I wanted to do was sit behind a desk, and that's what it looked like. Well, I'll tell you, they gave me a little slip of paper that says I was assigned to the Office of Development. I had no idea it was development, was a land development. What was it? Well, then I found out it was fundraising, and I thought, what is going on here? That's the last thing I wanted to do. I didn't grow up as a child thinking, oh, I want to grow up and be a fundraiser. That was not part of the plan that was there for me.
You really wanted to work with people on college campuses.
I wanted to work with people on college campuses. Get your hands
dirty and...
Absolutely. I arrived in San Bernardino, California in February, and by April, I was at a conference in Dallas, Texas. It was a fundraising development conference, and after the first couple sessions, I was so frustrated. I thought, this is not what I was cut out to do. This is not what I was meant to do. And I walked across the street from the hotel where I was at, the Marriott Quorum, to the gallery across the street, and I walked for 2 hours on a Sunday, grousing and complaining with the Lord. I said, this is not what I wanted to do. This was not what I was called to do. This was not what I was cut out to do. You have made the biggest mistake that you could possibly make. And I felt like after about 2 hours, God was saying to me, not in an audible voice, but are you done complaining now? Are you ready to finally surrender and give up all your complaining and do what I told you to do? Well, my life changed from that moment forward. And I have been on a journey that's been just incomparable. There's no way to compare the journey that I have been on. And a lot of people live their whole life and never know why they were created. And I can tell you, I was built and created by God to help others raise money for their mission. And it's been exciting every moment of it.
Well, that sounds awesome. And if you are excited to meet Jim, you are going to have the opportunity to meet him and to work with him through our Perfect Vision Dinner course. Jim is currently raising about $26 million a year using the very strategies that we are going to be talking about tonight. So it's definitely not just something that we pitch as an idea, but this is an active thing that we're all doing. And we know that it works because we've been doing it for 40 years.
Yeah. Enough about me, Jason. Hey, tell our audience about you.
Yeah. Well, my name is Jason Galicinski, and I was called into ministry in 1995 after attending a mission trip in Brazil. I had some background in computer science, and I thought I knew what I wanted to do. But on this mission trip, the Lord really got a hold of me in a very unique way, and he called me to Bible college. And so I ended up leaving my hometown in Barrie, Ontario, Canada. So you might hear a little Canadian accent from me. I still haven't been able to shake that. But going to Chicago was a very eye-opening experience, and I was able to get a strong foundation in biblical mindset. And I'm so thankful for that because I have built my life on the Word of God, and I apply the scriptures to every area of life. including business and ministry and now this course. And so I'm really excited. My journey took me through getting involved with radio ministry for a while, getting involved with some churches. But ultimately, as time went on, I started to get a burden for helping nonprofits in the area of fundraising events, and specifically in the area of fundraising software. And so I started a company back in 2006 called Ministry Sync. It is now renamed to FundEasy. Really, the heart behind Ministry Sync was that we wanted to come alongside of nonprofit organizations and help make fundraising easier by providing tools that would take the administrative load off, right? And so I actually met Jim Dempsey back in 2004,
right?
When I was working for an organization in Chicago. I was the technical director, and we were doing a vision dinner, and
right.
You were training the org executive director on how to do a vision dinner,
right?
And I was in the middle of building this software, actually for myself and for this organization, and I didn't know that I'd be building it for thousands of others down the road, but we built the software around this vision dinner.
Yeah.
And so here we are 20 years later, and we have this awesome course now where we can give people the tools, we can give people the knowledge, we can give people everything and set them all up and get them fully funded in the next 5 months.
Right.
So anyways, so a little bit more about me is that I am married to a beautiful wife named Jennifer, and together we've had 10 kids. We live in Tennessee, and here's a photo of them. They're just a beautiful family, and I am so excited for each one of them. They all are growing up in the Lord, and we are having a great time together. So along the way, we've also, as a family, started our own nonprofit. So not only are we helping a lot of nonprofits with their fundraising efforts, but we are also in the trenches in Africa, running our own nonprofit where we help people get off the streets, and we educate them and get them back into society as a functioning member of Zambia. So we're very involved with that, reaching the heart of Zambia. So check that out if you're interested. Well, that's enough about me. I think for the webinar, before we get into like why the vision dinner is so important, it's important for us to talk about maybe some mistakes that people make in the area of fundraising.
Well, absolutely.
So we put together 3 mistakes that nonprofits typically make in the area of fundraising. And the first mistake is...
Well, they focus on the...
First met Jim, and he said he's been doing this for 40 years. He was someone I could learn a lot from. And if you're in a similar position as me and having never done one, or maybe only done a few, and you have your own preconceived notions of what this should be, you should really give Jim an opportunity to try to sell you on his method, because I think it worked well for us.